Okay, you all know enough about my background, family, and so forth. So I want to take this opportunity to tell you a story that's like 3 decades old. It's part of my Adventures on the High Seas series. So that's a dopey picture of mine from like 1988 or so. Okay. So at the time, I was working for oil and gas company in India called ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Company in an offshore oil field that's like 100 miles west of current Mumbai city. It was known as Bombay in those days, and so the oil field was called like Bombay High Offshore Oil Field. Right, so helicopter used to carry us from the Mumbai heli base on Fridays and drop us off in this platform. So about 100 of us used to live and work there for 2 weeks. It'd be like 12-hour shifts, so no Saturday, Sunday holidays. Then we'll get 2 weeks off so we can go home. So you might have seen these kinds of offshore pictures. So they usually have a heli deck and then multiple blocks where engineers and workers live. And then as you notice, it'll always have a flare that continues to burn 24/7, burning small amount of natural gas. People always wonder, right? So why we waste this gas and can't we save and use it? But in reality, it's quite difficult and it's not cost effective. But another like more important reason is safety, as it kind of burns off small amounts of gas that collects in various stages. So it reduces fire hazard in the platform. And so in reality, we burn only like less than 1% of the gas that is unearthed. And there are efforts in the industry to reduce it to zero by 2030. But during my days there, if the flame size is normal, that indicates like all is well in the platform, right? So if it becomes too big or small, we'll immediately call the control room, since we were maintenance engineers, to check to make sure everything is running okay. Right? So that's a sign that things are running well if it's burning normally. So though it may not be obvious, the flare tip is rather big. It's like 10 feet diameter, right? So people do PhDs in these designed to make sure it's efficient, all gas burns off, there is no carbon residue dumped into the atmosphere, and so forth. So there's a lot of technology involved. The actual process itself goes something like this. This is called a knockout drum that separates oil and gas. Gas then passes through water so that fire cannot come back in here. And then it goes to the flare stack where it burns off. There'll always be like a pilot flame. If that also fails and the flame goes off, we can spark a flame from the platform, right? The lower end kind of thing. So the platform is initially started, then the flare starts burning. It's supposed to be routine maintenance checks to make sure everything works well, pilot flame is on, triggering works, and so forth. But when I was there, slowly the flame started looking a bit odd. You can't really go close to check it out because it's too big, too far away. But when we were looking one day, suddenly the flame just went out. Right? That's really dangerous, as you can imagine, because the gas started collecting around the platform. So the safety engineer got panicky. So he was asking for our instrumentation team's help. We went to the ignition panel and tried starting it by triggering it. Nothing worked. And then we slowly realized after like 8 years of continuous burning, this tip is all like burnt and fallen into the sea. Right. So there is no way to actually start that thing. But if we just leave it like that, gas can start accumulating around the platform, and some simple spark can just blow up the whole platform. Since it's full of oil and gas, it's like a sitting bomb. So engineers were kind of okay, but the kitchen staff, contractors, they all got really panicky and started yelling and saying we should abandon the platform and go back to Bombay. We didn't know what to do. Then finally, we came up with the idea of using this thing called a very pistol to restart the flame. It's actually designed to shoot flares in emergency. It's not meant for restarting burnt out flare stack. When we looked around, we figured nobody has fired this flare gun either. So since nobody has fired, I thought I am as good as anyone else, right? So I volunteered to fire it. And it's not appropriate to fire it from the platform. So we had to get on one of these boats, go close to the stack, and then fire it from there. And in these platforms, since we usually come through the heli deck, there'll be no docking station for boat or anything. So you need to get on one of these baskets, and then the crane will lower you down to the boat. So I clearly remember a colleague of mine called Gurudev Singh. And then the two of us got on and then got onto the ship. So standing on the ship deck, had a walkie-talkie. So I could talk to the control room. So the ship captain took us to the upper side of the wind flowing down from the flare, right? So I positioned myself, asked control room to open a lot of gas. And then I just fired the gun. There were like 60, 70 people watching me from the platform. Since it was kind of late in the evening and the sun was setting, it was getting dark, I can clearly remember that big sound like flat, and then the red kind of fiery line going sort of in slow motion, like from my hand to the flat tip, and suddenly with a very loud noise, the flat came back to life. So I heard like a lot of people cheering and clapping for us from the platform. So you can see where that boat is approximately. So this is the flare that went off. So we have to shoot from here. So when the control room adjusted the gas flow again down to normal level, it went away. So we had to actually fire a couple of more times. And I think finally what Gurudev Singh fired, that's the one that kept the flame on. And we asked them to keep the flame going. When we returned to the platform, we were treated like astronauts kind of thing. Everybody cheering us for a couple of days. To my ship got over, I went home. The company brought a replacement tip and mounted it from a helicopter. The next time when I went back, it was all well, and the flare actually even looked better than before. So though the platform is like inherently a dangerous place, but offshore platforms are an engineering marvel, right? So I was like 22 years old at the time, so I had a bunch of such experiences that gave me a lot of confidence and to kind of take risk without worrying too much about failure. Because in this case, if it had failed, okay, I didn't lose anything, but it worked out well. And so I was treated like a hero for a couple of days. That was it.
Wow, that's so great. Like it's completely like a cinema, like a movie. Very nice, very nice.
Mm. Very good. So what I still don't understand why do they have to have the flame? It's because they have some residue. They have to let it out.
Yeah. So actually, maybe I can now bring this and then like talk about it a bit more slowly. So in this one, right? So this is actually like a secondary knockout drum. So we can talk for hours. I mean, even this story, if I need to tell you properly, it take like 20 minutes or something. But the oil and gas, when it comes from the bottom of the ocean, it comes at like about close to 2000 psi pressure, right? So there's a lot of oil and gas coming up. And we actually put it on like some huge tank and let it settle where the oil and gas separates. Then there will be water that will get collected at the bottom. So we drain, clean, then we can pour that water back into the sea itself. Take the oil and then pump it to the shore, separate the gas, and then put it into another pipeline that takes natural gas back. So there, as well as we use the same gas to run the compressors in the platform, to run the electrical generator. I mean, you can't run like electrical wire from somewhere else to bring it here, right? And solar panel, all that is not enough because we are running enormous machinery, and so you need a lot of power. So when we do those kinds of things, everywhere there'll be some amount of gas that will become like too low pressure to suck it up and then like pump it back into the main gas pipeline. That's too expensive and too complicated. It doesn't work that very well. Plus, if you generally take all that gas and then take it to this flare and then keep burning it off, there is no any residual gas anywhere, right? So, I mean, there are a lot of technology. I can keep talking about it forever. So, for example, in all the living quarters, it will be positively pressurized. So whenever you open the door, you can hear the air escaping, right? So that no gas or anything can enter into the living space. Then in some spaces, it will be negatively pressurized in some compressor room, things like that, so that it will suck all the nearby gas and make sure the outside areas all clean, right? Things like that. So in that flow, there'll always be some gas that gets collected that cannot be pressurized and pumped back to the shore. So they used to just burn it. But as I said, it's still there's like work going on, and so there is it's called like zero flare stack or something. So by I think 2030, in all offshore platform, they want to like completely stop this flaring business. But even for example, when we need to switch compressor, right? So there used to be like 3 compressor, 2 will be pumping gas and 1 will be in standby. But if you start the standby and then switch over the existing compressor off, there'll be a lot of lines where there is a lot of gas and all that need to go somewhere. You can think in some way, you can figure out a way to suck all that, put it into the pipe or something, but it's much easier, safer, economical to just flare it off. So then there'll always be this flare running. And when I say compressor, in fact, first time when I went there, the most complicated equipment that I have known is like synchronous motor kind of thing, right? Like in the undergraduate lab, you start and then you need to get the speed aligned and then lock it up so the synchronous motor runs, that kind of thing. Maybe it'll take 5 minutes to start it. So I went and asked them, so how do you start kind of thing? Just starting the compressor would take about 3 hours, right? So these are like complicated beasts. I mean, you need to raise this level, adjust that pressure, and bring out this tank level to that point that triggers this triggers that, and then only you can start. And so in case of an emergency, you just punch one button and then the whole platform can just shut down. Okay, it's called like EST, emergency shutdown, or FST, fire shutdown. In both cases, what do you do with all the gas that is everywhere? I mean, if there is no ready-made fire that can just quickly burn it off, it becomes really dangerous. It can just escape and go around. So whenever we do any compressor switchover and that platform shutdown is like a major emergency, you don't do that easily. So when I was there, it has happened once or twice. And in those cases, instead of like a 50-foot flame, it will become like 150 feet tall, phenomenally big, powerful flame. And so even if you are like somewhere here, you can feel the heat suddenly coming in and the whole platform shaking because there is so much of gas venting and like firing off from there. Right? So maybe too long an answer for Mike's simple question, but I hope it gives some idea.
No, it's really interesting. So for all the gas, you got a pipeline to a pipe to the mainland, right?
Yes, yeah. So there were like 2-3 things going on. So actually, the way it works is where is it? Maybe here. Yeah. So you can see some of these are additional platforms, right? So if you're all interested, maybe on a Friday I can give a 2-hour talk or something. That there will be like unmanned platforms. So there'll be no people normally there, and then there'll be like 10 wells like this sucking, not sucking, actually collecting oil, because once you tap down to the floor, there is so much of pressure, oil will just ooze out, right? It will just come up. And so that will come to these platforms. So from here, 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 here. So there'll be like roughly 10, 12 unmanned platform, each one with 10, 12 unmanned wells, right? So like 120 wells worth of fluid, gas and oil mixture that will come to this platforms, these kinds of platforms. So only here there'll be 100 people, roughly about 40-50 people are engineers, and the other 50 are maintenance staff, right? Kitchen staff, cleaning crew, all those kinds of people. So the main function here is to get all that oil that's coming in through these pipes, and we'll take it in and then put it in huge tanks and separate out the oil and gas water thing. Water clean up, put it back. Oil and gas, it will just pump back through submarine pipeline that were going back to Bombay. So this is like 100 miles, right? So the sea depth is not that much. It's only about 220 feet. So on the seabed, they've laid 2 pipelines, one for oil, one for gas, that will go all the way to the refineries in the state of Maharashtra. So of course, this is not the only platform. There were also like the other platforms that I was on I think this was my platform. This is called SHP. So there were similarly like 4 or 5 other platforms. So each one will have like 120 wells getting oil in, and they are all collected in one pipe that will just connect back to the shore. But you can also get the oil pumped into like tankers if you want. That was also possible.
Sundar, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
That means that you started your career from the oil and gas. Why the transitions, and what time do you think you want to move to IT?
Actually, my undergraduate degree is in electronics and instrumentation, right? So I went, and after my graduation, my parents were not like that well off to like put me through grad school or anything like that. And in India in those days, it's not like a major scholarship you get to go to grad school, anything like that. So I took a job. I initially worked in a aircraft design factory. I was in the helicopter design bureau for a year in Bangalore, and then joined this company. I was working there for a couple of years, but I always wanted to go to grad school. So at least in those days, like coming to US, doing graduate studies, all that is like high ambition, right? Difficult, very difficult things to do for a middle class, economically middle class family people. So I applied, and then like saved all the money that I was paid during this job, then used that to come to US for higher studies. Right. So it's not like I wanted to abandon it sort of thing, but I always wanted to do grad school. But I couldn't have done grad school right after college because we didn't have that much money to come to US or anything. Maybe I wasn't bright enough to go to like top end Indian grad schools either. So I worked a couple of years, saved my money, and then took a flight.
Thank you. This was not the beginning. Thank God for today.
Hey, Sundar, slides 7 and 9, are those, I wasn't clear, is that the top of the flare or the bottom where it's collecting?
Yes, Jay. No, this is the top of the flare.
Top of the flare. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yep, these two. So this is the like the stem, right? So you should imagine this pointing up. So there's like gas coming out from all these and burning off. So that's like this part of the thing. There'll actually be like a steam line going in, things like that, because if the gas is just gas, it doesn't burn that very well, and there may be a lot of carbon that may get deposited into the atmosphere. So there will some steam added, and depending upon what kind of gas it need to be burned this way, that way. You need to have this additive and all kinds of stuff.
Why don't you just burn under the boiler, make the steam and make energy?
Sorry, burn under what? Sorry.
They can just burn this flame under the boiler and.
Oh yeah. No, that goes on. Certainly that goes on. That's why I was saying
No, even this one also, the extra one they are burning. Why not just heat up the water with that?
Yeah, I mean as I said, I think the first reason is you need to have some way to burn it off if there is like some sudden emergency, something shuts down. There is a lot of gas that backs up, etc. Right, and the second reason is there is like a lot of little gas, this and that gets. So if you just suck it up, and this is kind of considered very low pressure, even though for us this will look like phenomenally big. As I said, when the compressor shuts down, all that, the whole platform can shake, right? That kind of thing. But compared to the pressure with which the gas get pushed to the Bombay shore, this is nothing. This is like trivial kind of thing. So your question is valid, and it is getting done, right? So people realize it's not a good idea to keep flaring it, and so I don't even know if there is that much flaring goes on now. I need to go read up. But by 2030, in all offshore platforms, they want to like 0% burning. They want to shut it down, even if there is some emergency, this and that. They want different mechanism to suck that and put it someplace rather than burning it.
And this is heavier than the air, isn't it? This gas.
Yes. Yeah,
so you can't leave it in the atmosphere also.
Oh yeah. That's a very good point. Actually, that's the reason. So if there is anything that is leaking here, right? So it's just going to hang around here unless there is a lot of flow, and then this whole area will become all like.
Oh, so they are actually sucking all the gas from the bottoms and burning it off here, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, anything in various areas, this is all getting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering, where is it leaking from? It's just settling down at the bottom. You just suck it in and burn it out here.
Correct, but there are actual processes. I forgot some of the chemistry and things like that we used to do. I mean, in these areas when you are separating. So, for example, the oil and gas, when it's separated, the main thing is to pump it back. But we need to take some gas out of it, and then there used to be 4 Ruston, RUSTON, that's a UK company that had like 4 1 megawatt generators, right? So we'll be running 3 of them. So we used to generate 3 megawatt power. So to run those generators, we used to use the same natural gas. So even though it's coming in at like 2000 psi, all that, we need to depressure, I mean, bring it down to a lower pressure and then pump it into the generator. And that's the fuel that was running the generator. So even when one generator shuts down, another starts, this and that, there are like so many knockout drums, different stages. So you'll have all kinds of little gas collecting here and there. So it was considered safe to have at a distance a permanently burning flare rather than starting a flare once in a while or finding a way to pressurize it, all that.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
You're like so worried, and there was so much of safety that is kind of built into the mindset, because you're always trained to think of it like a sitting petrol bomb, right? So any fire anywhere can just blow this whole thing up, kind of thing, because not only so much gas, it's so much pressure also. It's all sitting there. So every switch, right? So you can think of any electrical switch that you have at home, you turn it on, off, it creates a spark inside, right? So we cannot have that kind of switch anywhere outside. So all the switches that to turn anything on, off, anywhere here, they all need to have some electrical, hermetically sealed enclosure. So you can turn the switch on, off, say for a light here, but the spark, even if there is gas around, the spark will not touch the gas to catch it, kind of thing. So things like that had to be done like all over the place. So you need to have it need to be like, oh, this area, this is living quarters, so this has to be positively pressurized, so this is negatively pressurized, so this is hermetically sealed, and you need to go here, and all the things that we wear, we are not allowed to wear any like polyurethane, terlin, terracotton kind of thing. So we need to wear orange color boiler suits. The main reason is, by chance, if there is any fire, it's cotton based, and so it won't catch fire that easily. And then if you fall down, the orange color will show you very easily, contrast from the blue color seawater, right? And we need to wear like steel-toed shoes all the time, so that if anything falls on it, and the sole need to be a particular kind, so that accidentally, if you kick something, the spark won't fly anywhere. So wherever you are, I mean, I remember in the platform, I think we were inside looking through this window once, and there was some guy standing here, and he just had a pen in his hand and he was holding it like a cigarette. That's it. Somebody like ran and like caught him and pulled, turned him around saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Oh, okay, it's a pen. Okay, yeah. Don't do that, man, kind of thing. So there should be no fire spark anywhere outside, because you never know where the hell some gas may be leaking.
Did you have to know how to swim to work there?
Very interestingly, no. I did know swimming to some extent, but in general, I mean, there were trainings being given. So you can go take the training and they'll teach you to swim, etc. And every week, we also need to do safety exercises. So in that one, all of us, somebody will give a safety lecture, and then we will practice identifying all the different kinds of alarms that are there. So there'll be like fire emergency, gas leak emergency, abandoned platform. That's the worst that you can imagine, meaning you can't save the platform, you need to abandon and run away, it's going to explode or something, right? And then all clear. So we'll practice those. And after that, we'll all walk out, wear safety vests, then get on these boats. Then from inside the boat, you can lower it. So it will come down here. Then we can disconnect the boat from here, and then we'll actually drive the boat around. These are made of fiberglass, so it will not sink. And then there'll be emergency food ration and water, flashlight, all that inside. Each boat can take about 20-30 people. So you can see there are a lot of boats around. So even though there'll be only 100 people, probably there are boats for 200-300 people spread around, right? So you can get on any of the closest boat and then go away. But knowing swimming is not mandatory to work in the platform. But unfortunately, I have known people who have fallen down and died, right? I mean, those are very rare instances, but it has happened. And these are all also shark infested waters. So we are not supposed to go close to water at all. But when I was there, actually not in my platform, but in another platform, one guy fell down, basically shark took him. So he's dead, kind of. So we all knew those lessons. And so we were like very careful not to venture out in any of these areas.
And
So
disputing
Sundar,
on
anytime you had to go down under the sea in the submarine?
No, never, ever.
Okay.
I mean, we were, I don't know if you all have read, I know Rashmi and I have talked about that kind of thing. I have like one story of going on a debugging trip in the middle of the night, right? So if you haven't read that, I can send that to you. It's in English, and that kind of thing used to happen. So we used to get on these, basically this, what is that? This mode, right? So normally during daytime, if we need to go to any of the unmanned platform, anything, we'll just go to the heli deck. A chopper will come and pick us up, right? So they'll just go and drop us in the particular platform. We'll work there, and then evening it'll come and pick us up and bring us back. But all the choppers will go back to Bombay around 5-6 o'clock in the evening. They don't fly at after sunset.
Okay.
So anytime we need to do anything in late night, production is so important, right? So middle of the night, if one of the unmanned platforms starts pumping, I mean, the oil flow stops, they won't say, we'll wait till tomorrow and then we'll go check it out. It's urgent, emergency. So we'll be woken up from our bed and we need to go in the middle of the night, jump on this basket, get on one of these boats, and the boat will take us to the unmanned platform. And then we need to somehow debug, figure out why the hell the platform not stopped pumping oil, and then get that working again. So that's what I described in that story. But never inside the thing. I mean, that is all. I mean, once the rig comes in, they set up the well, all that. We never ever go below the water level. I mean, there was no reason to operate always above the water level.
Okay.
All right. I'll keep talking forever because that's one of my like fun
It's
topics.
very interesting. Really interesting.
Stop recording.